Angela Garmley was going through a divorce, and she had to talk to a judge, Chief Magistrate Judge Bryant Cochran, about the divorce proceedings. Now, she also allegedly got assaulted by 3 people, so she had to talk to the judge about that as well. And when she went to go see the judge, she went with a relative, but the judge told the relative, no, you stay outside. I want to talk to her alone. Now, according to reports, when Garmley arrived at Cochran's office, he requested that she meet with him alone, preventing her sister, who had been an eyewitness to the assault, from attending or providing a corroborating statement. So that's a little questionable. Why is that? He continues to tell her the following. My wife doesn't take care of my sexual needs, and I need a mistress to have sex with I can trust. He had a real boner for her and wanted her to return to his office the following week, he added flirtatiously, the lawsuit alleges. So as you guys can imagine, she did go ahead and sue the judge for what happened. But shortly after suing the judge for what happened, this entire story takes a turn for the worse, and I'll explain that in a second. But first, Cenk, what do you think about his advances?
Okay, look, whenever the government does something wrong, usually, and this is so, it happens on a national level, but it also happens on the local level. What people say is, oh, what are you going to trust this woman? This is a magistrate we're talking about, right? And when he sends out the corroborating witness from the room, he said, no, he had a legitimate reason for seeing her in her chambers. Turns out he wants to see her chambers, right? And so people abuse their power all the time, but it's about to get worse. It
does get worse. So he basically tells her, look, if you want the outcome of this divorce to work out in your favor, I need you to show up to my office without underwear, wearing a dress. So basically easy access. He wanted to have sex with her. He was very, very clear with what he wanted to do. Now, she is...
Can I just say that that's like very specific? Like, I mean, this guy, like, like, you can tell he's a perv for, of course, the obvious reasons, right? But also, like, I want you to come on, I don't want you to have any panties on, you know? Like, wait, she can have panties on, you can still have sex. Like, it's just so weirdly specific on his perviness.
And also, as you mentioned, he's taking advantage of his power here, right? Because obviously she knows that he can do what she needs him to do in terms of the divorce. And as a result, I mean, there's obviously an imbalance of power. So anyway, he asks her to do so. And she doesn't want to, but what she does end up doing is she sends him photos of herself. Now, they're not nude photos. She has underwear on, but she's thinking in the back of her mind, well, I'm not going to go through with sleeping with him, but maybe if I send him racy photos, you know, he won't do anything against me. Because remember, at this point, if you don't give him what you want or what he wants, he's going to rule against you in this case. So she's like, I don't know what to do. How do I handle the situation? Personally, I would have immediately gone to authorities, but then that gets a little tricky because you don't really have proof. It's a little bit of a he said, she said situation.
And they're not going to trust her. And the authorities are, especially in a local situation like that, probably buddies with that guy. So that's the thing, man. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And in this case, you know, he's... By the way, we're going to find out later, apparently does this on a somewhat regular basis.
So she actually did end up going to authorities, and right after she did, the judge started looking for revenge. What he did is he had 2 police officers plant drug evidence in her car. So one day she was driving, actually she was not driving, she was the passenger in her car. A friend was driving because she had been drinking. A cop pulls her over and asks, have you been drinking? What's going on? Then he uses a canine to sniff out drugs, and they find meth in a metal box attached underneath the vehicle.
We see, that's it, she's a meth head, right? Aha, see now, how do we even know the judge isn't telling the truth here? You're gonna trust her. I mean, she's sending the racy pictures, she's got the meth. Obviously, she's guilty. Except, it turns out,
she's not guilty, obviously. And just to give you guys some more context into the story, the sheriff's deputy in this town in Georgia is the judge's first cousin.
Okay.
So there's a little bit of an issue there. Now, the attorney for this woman is attorney McCracken Poston. I'm not lying. And he says the judge...
His first name is McCracken. That's awesome.
The judge, two deputies, and a handyman named CJ, who is employed at Judge Cochran's property, conspired to plant the drugs on my client. And if the frame-up hadn't been discovered, my client would have been facing 25 to 30 years in prison. Now, thankfully, the two deputies who stopped her admitted that they planted the evidence that she did not have drugs in the car, and they did so under pressure, and they want to take a plea deal because if they didn't cooperate with authorities, then of course they would face longer sentences in jail.
Yeah. So it turns out, yeah, it was the pervy judge, and we have the co-conspirators who have admitted to it. So, man, watch out. So every time somebody tells you, don't worry, just trust the government, you have to remember they're real people. And so they're both have good traits and bad traits. There's good guys and bad guys. So for example, when the NSA is spying in on all of us, you think out of the 1.3 million people who have access to classified information, they're all angels? None of them are going to actually spy in on their ex-wives, abuse their power, maybe look at the emails or the websites that celebrities are going to, and the list goes on and on. Here, a local bumpkin, he's a magistrate. You know that in Georgia, apparently you don't have to be a lawyer to be a magistrate. He's a former cop.
He's a former cop, and then he became a judge. Just to enrage you guys even more, he hasn't been charged with anything yet. However, she was charged with the meth. She was sent to jail. Now, she got off on bond, but as a result of that, she has a record now, and it takes a year for your record to clear, even if you're found not guilty. So she was passed up when she was offered a really good job, a high-paying job, but then they found out that she has a felony record, and as a result, she was unable to take that job. So it's already ruined her life in some way.
Man. And then that judge, by the way, Cochran, has the nerve to come out and then say, all right, I'm fine, okay, am I not merciful? I'll step down, but I can't believe you got my family into this.
Yeah, and
but we didn't get your family to do it. You're the one who asked her to be your mistress.
And by the way, he claims that he did not resign because of this particular case. He's claiming that he resigned because he signed or he pre-signed warrants. So basically these blank warrants with his signature on it, and then cops can fill it in any way that they please. And of course there are ethical issues with that.
Yeah, that's bad enough on its own.
I know. He's like, no, I didn't sexually harass or molest this woman. I just, pre-wrote warrants for cops so they can do as they please.
Right. And by the way, I mean, legally, I don't know which one is worse, but of course, what he's trying to do is save his marriage. Like, oh, baby, no. I didn't ask women in my court to take off their panties. I would never do that. I can't believe these people brought my family into it when I was just trying to fuck around.